What's your name and what do you do?
My name's Illya Higdon. I went X2 at the Kissimmee Regionals, 7-2, 21st at around 380 people.
What do you play?
I played Danger Zombie Orcust.
What was your matchups?
So I went against 4 guard dragon decks, 1 striker deck, 2 salads, 1 true Draco, 1 cyber dragon Orcust. I only lost to Sky Striker and Salad. I lost to Sky Striker because that's generally a pretty bad matchup. It's winnable, but it's actually better to go second a lot of times, and you mostly need your side deck a lot. And then I lost to Salad because the player had Super Poly. That's basically it. I'll get into the profile. 3 unit zombie. You always want to see this guy in your opening hand, and you play a lot of ways to get to him, as well as a lot of dangers to draw into him. His second effect, or his first effect, a discard for hand increase from 1. Pretty versatile. You can discard dangers like Bigfoot and Thunderbird to deal with problem floodgates or monsters negates. He's also really good to get cards out of your hand, and you send. Usually you can send send Doom King with him because you send Banshee with Shooting Rise Our Dragon, which I'll show him extra deck. But if you already have access to one of those cards, you can send other stuff like Mizuki, which is like an extender. Solitaire, he's just to get to Unizombie. He's also pretty nice because he tributes himself, gets another zombie in grave for a Gozuki. Gozuki. This guy is kind of just like a worse Unizombie, but you need more normal summons in the deck and more ways to actually get to your zombie engine. But he's also pretty nice for a second effect, because if you have zombie rolled up, you can banish basically anything in your grave because they're all zombies, and get zombies out of your hand onto the field, which helps because sometimes you have cloggy hands with zombies and not enough dangers, even though you play a lot of dangers. That doesn't happen most of the time, but it comes up. 2 Mizuki. You want to see him usually in your opening hand to discard off of dangers, but you usually end up sending him off the other zombies. He's really good. He can bring back Dingirsu. He can bring back any monster in deck because they're all zombies. He gets your Orcust combo, or he gets your Orcust like Dingirsu to keep attaching skeletons, so it gets your whole like engine flooding basically. And then these 2. So if you open any one of these, you'll basically always end up discarding them off a Danger, Unizombie, or Nightmares, or Mermaid. And if you do get them discarded off of those, then you can send other stuff like Mizuki to play through hand traps and have extenders. Doom King's really good. He comes back off of any field spell, so it comes up for a Striker field spell, Salad field spell, Orcust field spell, or your own Orcust field spell. And he's also has 2 interruptions, and your opponent can't really deal with him very well because you're going to be protecting him with an Girsu. And his banishing effect is really nice because it doesn't target, and it gets around almost every protection in the game. Yeah, that's about it for him. And then here's the Danger lineup. These 6 are pretty standard for almost any combo deck that uses them. These and this one you use with Unizombie a lot of time to make Shooting Rise Our Dragon or to synchro into Boral Savage. You max out on this because you want to. It helps. Every card in your deck basically helps when it gets discarded. Every card in your deck does something when it's discarded or in graveyard mostly. He also helps you know what your opponent's playing if they hit him. So the only cards you really care about getting hit are these 2 and sometimes this guy, but you have to play these 2 for utility. You can never see enough dangers. If your hand is full of 5 dangers, even that's still fine. Because they go into stuff like Curious, which can get you access to the zombie engine or send Orcust monsters or play through hand traps, etc. Yeah. I wish I could play more, but these are semi-limited, and the other ones are just not good enough to play. You could bump this up by maybe 1, but that's about it. Orcusts, 3 horror, 2 skeleton, these 2. This is pretty standard for an orcust engine. Interesting part of it is if you summon skeleton off of 4, which is what you usually do, you can increase Unizombie twice, synchro this guy into Whirl Savage. You can also do that if you have this guy, when you have this guy banished, and you can afford to send a wand with Nightmare. Then you can bring back this guy and synchro him with either Destrudo or Unizombie. Most of the time, Unizombie though. The last 2 monsters in the deck. This guy gets you access to any card in your deck. He's just another good normal summon. And this is another card that you can make Whirl Savage with, or Shooting Rise or Dragon, to get access to the rest of your zombie cards. This guy also can send Doom King instead of doing it with Unizombie, so you can send Mizuki and stuff like that instead. And you can bring him back off Mizuki, and he's not a hard once per turn, obviously, so you can keep sending stuff with him. These are 3 super poly. So these were really bad for the event. I decided on playing 3 poly because I expected a lot more combo this event because it was the last event before Nibiru and all the other Megaton promos would be legal. And in theory, super poly is really good in this deck because it Zombie World turns all your monsters, all the monsters on the field into zombies, and then you can, if you go first, you can set it as an interruption with Zombie World up. But you don't really need poly to break a lot of the combo decks boards because you play so many dangers. A nice thing you can do with dangers is you can, if you have any danger, Mothman, let's say, summon Mothman, attack into Sphere for any Guard Dragon deck, or just any like Thunder that uses Guard Dragons. Attack into Sphere, you force out the bounce. They have to bounce Mothman back into your hand, or they have to bounce one of their own cards, or they just let it die. But either way, you get rid of the bounce. And then so you go main phase 2, and then you're basically only have to play through like 1 or 2 cards, or 1 or 2 monster negates. And that's pretty easy for this deck because you play so many dangers, there's so many free bodies on field, and then every card you discard is another extender and grave. So I went against 4 Guard Dragon decks. I didn't lose to a single one of them, and I lost every dial to each one of them. Because you break almost any board they have, and Zombie World is like almost like a mini floodgate against them, as well for Salad and other decks. So this deck was a pretty good meta call because of that. Orcust Battle. So if you don't have access to your zombie engine, or if your opponent just stops your zombie engine, you can just go back to Galatea, setting this, flipping it up, just do the regular bomber play, which is enough to stop most combo decks. But if you're playing against a back row deck, then you just do Crescendo. This card's pretty mandatory in every graveyard combo deck. If you see this card in your hand, you almost can play through any hand trap aside from Lancia, which is really the only hand trap this deck loses to. It can play through anything else with a decent hand. And then this card's basically an extender because you want your old hand discarded, and you have a bunch of dangers and stuff like that, and also lets you see what your opponent's playing. Zombie World. This card is the reason this deck is functional, basically. This brings back Dim King, turns all your opponent's monsters into zombie, which comes up more than just for Dim King, because it stops them from making Balinx and Salad, it stops them from making LP and Guard Dragon, it stops them from bringing back with stuff with Guard Dragons. This also stops Sphere Mode, which didn't come up today, but a lot of people get caught off guard and then they set in Sphere Mode, and then it stops Tribute Summons, so you can't Tribute Summon your board away. And this also has a lot of neat other interactions, like Mizuki bringing back like Orcust monsters or Armageddon Knight. Yeah. And then 1 Crescendo, because there's just other. This is what you normally set. You only set Babel if you don't have access to the zombie engine. So yeah, your usual end board is this, Dingirsu protecting your Doom King, and sometimes a Whirl Savage and then Zombie World. So it's the average of 3 interruptions, 2 with Doom King, 1 with this, which is not the best board out there, but it's really hard to break because Dingirsu is protecting it all. And the turn 2 plays this deck has is insane because your whole graveyard is loaded. You like, if they don't kill you the turn they break your board, you're killing them next turn. I'll do side deck next. Or actually, I'll do extra deck next. So for the orcust engine, 2 Galatea, 2 Ningirsu, 1 Langirsu. Pure orcust decks usually play 3 of this, but you don't need 3 of this in this deck. You use 1 for the combo like 99% of the times, and then you have the second one for follow plays for the next turn. 2 of this comes up a lot. Yeah, 2 of this comes back a lot for turn 2 plays to break boards. And then this guy, he's okay. You can cut him if you want, but he's good for when you don't have access to the zombie engine, or you need like a fairly generic link, or you want to break your opponent's board. Boral Savage. So you can usually get this guy out if you open like Unizombie, like 2 or 3 dangers. 2 is usually fine. You don't get him out consistently, but probably 50-50. You get him out as well with the standard Doom King, Crescendo, Dingirsu, Zombie Roll combo. And this guy gets pretty big when you equip him with stuff like Curious, and he helps without decaying. Bomber and Boral Sword. You need to play this. This just enables too many OTKs not to play, so it's mandatory basically. And Bomber is for when you get your zombie combo stops, and you just do Bomber or Crescendo or Bomber Babble. Curious. So this you make when you expect your opponent to have a lot of hand traps, like if they're playing Salad. You want to make this and send like something like Horror. So if they stop your Mermaid, you're still fine. But if you don't expect your opponent to have a lot of hand traps, or you already have some like Orcust monsters in grave, you can send Banshee or Doom King or other zombie cards like that. His mill effect is mandatory. So if you already have Banshee in grave and you don't have zombie rolled yet, you usually want to chain Banshee to this, so you don't risk milling zombie world. This guy can still mill Crescendo though, and that's the only bad card he can mill, but everything else you want. Everything else in your deck you want in the graveyard anyway, so his mill effect's almost never bad. These 2 are super poly targets. This one, Starving Venom, and this one is Dragon Neck or the zombie guy. Starving Venom because every combo deck ends on at least 2 darks unless they're specifically playing around it and making like Crystal Ming or something like that. And then the zombie guy just because you turn all your opponent's monsters into zombies. His effect almost never comes up, but he's just there for that. And again, I wouldn't play Super Poly in this again, especially in the upcoming format, because probably gonna start leaning more towards the control format. I would definitely play Instant Fusion with Winda and Restrict, because those are just much better in breaking boards. Well, not a lot better in breaking boards, but Restrict helps, and they're a lot better in setting up boards with like Winda and stuff like that. And it helps against your back row deck matchups, because Restrict can take anything, and then you can't really Super Poly a Striker board, or like a Guru board or Draco board or something like that. Rhizar Dragon. So you almost always make this guy. You send. You can't use the monster as effect that you send with him the same turn it's sent, but it doesn't matter because you send Banshee, and Banshee is a quick effect, and you do it during your opponent's turn. There's a couple times where it comes up where you can like in a simplified game state, where your opponent, you and your opponent basically like pretty low on cards, and you got your Mermaid stopped early or something like that. You can send like an Orcust monster with this guy for the next turns to get access to your Orcust engine, because you only play 1 Mermaid, because you don't have room for 2, and this is more of this isn't like a pure build. Yeah, so basically you just send Banshee with this guy, or you send Horror or like Nightmare or something like that, but 99% of the time you send Banshee. And then these 2 cards, because they get into Mermaid. I'll do side deck. So 3 Phantasme. I think this card's like really good in every Orcust deck. Helps you draw your side deck cards, fixes your hands, stops targeting. This is one of the cards that makes your Striker matchup at least winnable, even though it's really them favored. That's like your only bad matchup too. You can beat other back row decks, but this you need to see this to beat Striker a lot of the times. And just a free body for Orcust is always nice. Same for this guy. good against. You almost always set this guy in because at the very worst he's at least a free body, and if not, he gets rid of one negate. 3 Ogre, 3 Veiler. These are the best hand traps to play with this because you can't play stuff like Impermanence or Gamma, which are Impermanence or Gamma can be called, but these don't conflict for the Phantasme. And I was expecting a lot of Guard Dragon at this event because I assume people want to play combo before the Megatons, and I was somewhat right because I faced 4 of them. This didn't resolve that much, but when it does, you just win the game. And this resolved a couple times, but that's easier to play around than Guard Dragons. But these are still nice. And then 3 Twin. I would probably, well, these would stay. This would definitely stay. This would maybe stay, and these would probably come out. I'd probably play more board breaking cards like Dark Ruler No More, and maybe more back row hate. But yeah, these 6 would probably 100% stay because it's just an orcust deck. So overall, this deck was really nice. I think it was a good meta call just because Zombie Revolt's like kind of like a mini floodgate, and then it can play through a lot of hand traps. It can go second really well. It sets up for like a really sticky board that has a good turn 2 plays. So I'll do shoutouts now. So shoutouts to all of Jax, Cool Stuff Games, Vortex, everyone, Cool Stuff Game, Vortex. Big shout out to Garrett. This list is like really similar to his YCS list. He helped me work on this list because obviously the deck is missing Bardiche now, so you gotta think of some board to make. But this board's actually still really nice. It's really hard to break, and you have good turn 2 plays. Yeah, it was a pretty good regional. Unfortunately, couldn't get top 8. Because the Salad player and this Striker just a really bad matchup. But I guess I did get lucky with only playing 1 Striker. Yeah, that's about it.